What's going on, gamers? I have some doubts here, but I feel like Ghost Yotei definitely is going to easily get these numbers. But remember what we said yesterday about Helldivers 2? So they're coming back the next day, and this is interesting. Saying that Ghost of Yotei PlayStation 5 sales estimated to be 1.6 million. 2 million at retailers, 77% of the copies sold were digital. That would make sense from a PlayStation standpoint. Data by Ali. See, this is what makes me doubt that because and I heard people come to me and say, well, they're talking about dollar sales or whatever, and Helldivers is $39.99. Yeah, of course, I get what you're saying. There could be some truth there to where Helldivers may have sold more copies, and because those games were ahead of it that month, that could it probably have charted more? I don't know, man, but I feel like if you did sell at least 1 million, you know what I mean? I don't see the Demon Slayer game, whatever, getting ahead of all Helldivers 2 and not even be able to crack the top 10 is just weird, guys, because if you pre-order something like that and you have that hype, like you have massive pre-order hype to get in there and say, yeah, 500K at least did that instantly. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to chart. Like, so I wasn't necessarily mad at Microsoft because they didn't say anything. It wasn't them that I was talking. I'm talking about these people right here who are giving the analytics, and they're doing it again with Ghost. But could this be believable? Let's find out because I got their site over here and then we got some comments to look at. So we could think about what they're saying about Helldivers and what they're thinking about this without being a fanboy. Let's just try to find out what the hell's really going on here. Okay, so first let's take a look at this picture. They said percentage also played Tsushima, Shadows, Astrobot, Death Stranding 2, and Expedition. So they're kind of tracking other things. They got some type of data going on here, some type of data gathering. And these sales, like they said, 77% is digital copies. Now, going over here, they're saying, forgive me, this guy says, but this reads quite misleading. Hey, I felt the same way yesterday. It's positioned to look like 3+ million sales, but if I'm reading it right, the actual sales to customers is 1.6 million total based on your estimations, or am I misunderstanding? What's the total copies sold combined in your estimates? And Hunter says, these aren't my estimates. Numbers are 1.6 million sold through, 2.2 plus sold in. So they gave this many to the retailers, and this is how much they sold, or whatever. I guess that's what he's trying to say. We'll see. Let's go over here. Here's the main website. Ghost of Yotei is a success as Battlefield 6 sales 1.8 million on Steam pre-launch, they said. Those are Steam numbers. Ghost of Yotei is Sony's strongest first-party PlayStation 5 launch since Spider-Man 2. Well, the last big title they had before that was Astrobot, and then you had all these other games that they were adding, whatever. So if you want to think about it, yeah, that would be it, because they were kind of having some windows there they were missing. So after a week on the market, Ghost of Yotei is one of PlayStation's most successful first-party launches. And by the way, I have 20 hours in it or whatever. Took down a couple things, 100% at the first 2 regions. I'm in the 3rd region. I said fully 100%. I'm doing everything. I'm not rushing the story. And the game is definitely not overrated. It's meeting my standards and actually it's exceeding them. And there's some things that it does better than Tsushima, despite people's problem with the protagonist. I get what you're saying, but I'm going to tell you from my point of view, if you didn't play the game, she's not really ruining the writing or anything like that. She doesn't like interfere, and they don't interject none of that in there where you feel like you're being like, you know what I mean, enforced like Dragon Age or something. I didn't feel that. The game is actually a pretty good game. I'm telling you, it's a good samurai game. Now, there could be some people that have a problem because they're stuck on a character. They like the protagonist or they want to play whatever. Honestly, man, I gave the game a chance and I have to tell you, it was better than I thought it was going to be. And you know me, I keep it real. So I think it's a good game and I'm definitely enjoying it. And I'm going to go for the platinum like I did in Tsushima. Now, going down here, they said after a week on the market, Yotei is one of PlayStation's most successful party launches of the PS5 generation. That's a bold statement because do you have concrete evidence of this? I don't know about that. But is it believable that this game could do that? Yes, that's easily believable. It's a Sony first-party game. They're hungry for, you know what I mean? It's kind of been dry at the beginning of the year for PlayStation, and then finally you got this big hit coming after Death Stranding. And this is more of a game that more people would jump to than Death Stranding 2 because that's kind of like a niche game that's kind of for certain people. Though it's an amazing game, and I love Kojima, but it's not for everybody. This is more attractive than that to the main public. So I think this could be believable, but do I 100% believe what they're saying? I need more evidence. It's hard for me to, state on that. Ghost of Yotei has sold 1.6 million copies through to consumers, 2 million to retailers. So they've shipped 2 million to them, and so far 1.6 million has been bought, they're saying. Translating into nearly 100 million in revenue. It's selling a little slower than Ghost of Tsushima, which shipped to 2 million copies in 3 days. But it's worth noting that Ghost of Tsushima launched when PlayStation 4 had an install base of about 110 million, compared to the PlayStation 5's current 80 million-ish. And during the height of the lockdown, induced gaming boost. True, Nintendo got the Animal Crossing boost too. They sold 30 million consoles in 1 year. So you guys something. During the COVID lockdown, Nintendo Switch saw a massive surge in popularity, selling almost 30 million consoles in 1 year. Man, that was crazy. Nobody in history has ever done it except the DS at like 31 or 32. I'll never forget that. Like that was crazy. Now getting back over here, because I get what you're saying, because the Ghost had that boost in the lockdown. Everything kind of did. You know, everything spiked up, right? Everybody was just like, yeah, that was a bubble. It was a COVID bubble. You know what I mean? But it's worth noting that Tsushima, like you said, launched with that install base. So going down here, it's safe to say that Sony's Samurai sequel is doing well for the company. And then I know there's a lot of videos up coming against it saying they're damage controlling, they're lying. And honestly, we're going to have to wait to see outside of this. But I don't believe this game could fail. Definitely with that 60 million budget and probably a little bit more after that, I don't see how that could be possible. Yotei made its dev costs back after its second day on the market. That's what I mean. An outcome that's becoming rarer for huge AAA releases. Outside of all that nonsense, this is the way that I think Sony should go. If you're going to be able to make a game to do that, and it costs you under 100 million, and you can get profit within 2 days, unlike Spider-Man needed to sell like 7 million or something to break even or whatever, that's like crazy. This is the Sony route that I would like to see. The industry in general, 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 million budgets, but the games are really good and high quality. You don't always have to make everything like, you know what I mean, all over again. You can reuse assets and remember the most important things like gameplay, story, you know, emotional connections, epic music, world building, you know what I mean? Open world evolution in a sense, in a programming way, where it's like, this doesn't feel like your typical whole bunch of markers all over the place, like a Ubisoft game, and then you just travel to it like a dog or a package and just chasing all these markers like a dog, and they're just treating you like a package, and you don't really have much adventure or anything, because it's not an adventure if you know where you're going, you just go into some location. No, there needs to be a sense of danger, some random stuff happening, you know what I mean? I like Ghost because it has a sense of adventure that I feel like they've learned from Zelda and that they've learned from Red Dead. You can see it. And they got some Uncharted stuff in there, you know, so there's a mix of it, but it works well. So yeah, he says, I've been sinking my teeth into the game. I have, on and off, and I'm constantly amazed by Yotei's refinement and strength. Sucker Punch has shed the open world bloat that took me out of the first game. Yeah, it doesn't feel repetitive like that. And the combat system, world design, and the variety of weapons and everything it's a lot better. Atsu's revenge-driven narrative. Yotei is also bloody stunning. Definitely one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Other PS5 games are loving it too. Fans are loving it too. With 30% of players having played Yotei for over 20 hours in 1 week. So we have Ghost Phantom. They're getting all types of analytics here. We're going to see. 93% of Ghost of Yotei players previously played Ghost of Tsushima, as we saw. Over 30% overlap with Sekiro and Assassin's Creed. But they're kind of into that. You know what I mean? They're like that samurai world. Like, I love that. I told you my favorite anime is Bleach. I had to see this regardless. And then PlayStation Studios appreciation, he says here. Strong crossovers for Spider-Man 2, 60%, and the other prestige PlayStation titles like Helldivers 2 and Astro Bot and Death Stranding suggest Yotei is tapping into core PlayStation franchise fans. Wait, it's kind of getting back to what people liked in the PS4 area. Yotei kind of just is what I was like, okay, this is Sony that like they had that direction going in the PS4 era, and they should get back to that because that's where they grew and that's where they're best at. Digital purchases account for 77%, as we saw. So he's saying this is the strongest launch since Spider-Man 2. Honestly, it's possible, but we have to see until the official numbers come out, because why wouldn't they come out and say, we already sold 1 million copies? Like, I want to see what they have to say. I want to hear from them officially, and then they will let us know fully, just like I would like to see Sony come out and say what Helldivers sold on Xbox or whoever, because they own that game. You know what I mean? Say what it sold. And when both of those come out, then we can get our full analysis about how close these guys are or what we can fully believe and not. Even then, I still doubt, you know what I mean? But overall, I believe Battlefield 6 probably did that, and it probably has more at the moment. So let me know what you guys think about this. Like I said, honestly, I'm going to just remain open-minded, but not jump the fence like a fool. I love this game, but I don't know if this is the truth or not. We'll find out. Later, y'all. Peace out. Enjoy gaming.